There has to be a record of an elderly blind woman admitted this morning was looking for something money couldn't buy, and you gave it to me freely.
Single dad helped the same poor blind woman every morning, unaware she was a billionaire. But what happened next will restore your faith in humanity. A cold November morning, rain hammering the pavement. And there she sat, soaked to the bone, her white cane trembling in her frail hands while crowds rushed past like she didn't exist. If you believe kindness still matters in this world, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to this channel and share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because your perspective matters to us. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people saw her as invisible, just another fixture on the street corner. But one man saw something different, something human, something worth stopping for. Marcus Chen was a 38-year-old mechanical engineer who understood what it meant to struggle. Life had dealt him a brutal hand 2 years earlier when his wife Sarah died suddenly from an aneurysm, leaving him alone to raise their 7-year-old daughter, Emma. Every morning became a battle. Wake up, get Emma ready for school, pretend everything was fine, swallow the grief, keep moving forward. His routine took him past Fifth Avenue and Morrison Street every single weekday at 7:15 in the morning. That's where he first noticed her. An elderly woman, probably in her 70s, sitting on a wooden crate beside a small folding table. She sold handmade bookmarks, delicate things woven from colorful threads. Her milky eyes stared straight ahead, seeing nothing. Her clothing spoke of decades past, worn but clean, patched in places where fabric had given way to time. The first morning Marcus stopped, rain was turning her bookmarks into soggy ruins. Water streamed down her weathered face. She didn't move, didn't pack up, just sat there with dignity carved into every line of her expression. "Ma'am, you're getting drenched," Marcus said gently, holding his umbrella over her. She tilted her head toward his voice. "The rain doesn't bother me much anymore, young man. Been through worse." Her voice carried an unexpected refinement. Educated, cultured. It didn't match the scene at all. "Let me help you pack these up," Marcus offered. "That's kind, but I manage just fine." He noticed her hands then, gnarled with arthritis, fingers bent at odd angles, yet still working to gather her bookmarks. Something twisted in his chest. His own mother had hands like that before she passed. "I'm Marcus. I walk past here every morning. Would you let me help? Just until the rain stops." She paused, considering. Margaret. Margaret Wells. And I suppose a little help never hurt anyone. That morning, Marcus was 20 minutes late to work. He didn't care. He'd carefully packed each bookmark into Margaret's small carrying case, walked her 3 blocks to the bus stop, and waited until she was safely aboard. Her gratitude was simple, genuine. It warmed something in him that had been frozen for 2 years. The next morning, he brought 2 coffees. One for him, one for her. Black, no sugar, he guessed. He guessed right. "You came back," Margaret said when she heard his footsteps. "Told you I walk past here every morning." She smiled. It transformed her entire face. "Most people say things they don't mean. I'm not most people." And so it began. Every single morning at 7:15, Marcus would stop. Sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes for 20. He'd arrange her bookmarks, making sure they caught the light just right. He'd describe the people passing by, painting word pictures for her sightless eyes. A woman in a red coat arguing on her phone. A teenager doing skateboard tricks. A dog walker juggling 5 leashes. Margaret would laugh at his descriptions. She had this way of laughing that made you want to hear it again, full-bodied, completely unself-conscious. "You have a gift for observation," she told him one morning. "My daughter says I notice weird things. Tell me about her." So Marcus did. He talked about Emma, how she was struggling in school since her mother died, how she'd stopped drawing, which used to be her favorite thing, how she'd wake up crying some nights, calling for Sarah. Margaret listened the way few people do, completely present, no judgment, no empty platitudes. "Grief is a strange companion," she said quietly. "It never fully leaves. You just learn to walk alongside it." "You sound like you know." "I do. Lost my husband 40 years ago. Lost my sight 30 years ago. Lost more than I care to count." She reached out, her hand finding his, with surprising accuracy. But I gained understanding, compassion, the ability to hear what people aren't saying. Her words settled into Marcus like stones into still water, creating ripples, changing the surface of things. Weeks turned into a month. Marcus started bringing her warm soup on particularly cold days. Margaret started having bookmarks ready for him. One for Emma, delicate purple and silver threads. "How did you know purple was her favorite color?" Marcus asked, stunned. "You mentioned it once, 3 weeks ago. Thursday morning. You were describing her backpack." He stared at this woman who remembered such small details from a casual conversation, who saw more blind than most people did with perfect vision. "Margaret, why do you sit out here every day? Don't you have family? Someone to take care of you?" She was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice carried layers he couldn't quite interpret. "I have my reasons, Marcus. Good reasons. But mostly I sit here because this is where I meet people like you. People with good hearts who haven't forgotten how to see someone else's humanity." Traffic hummed around them. The city breathed its endless rhythm. And Marcus felt something shift inside his chest. Something that felt dangerously close to purpose, to connection, to healing. He had no idea that this blind woman clutching threadbare blankets was worth $800 million. No idea that her weathered hands had once signed documents that moved markets. No idea that her daily presence on that corner was a deliberate choice, not a desperate necessity. All he knew was that helping Margaret had become the best part of his day, the part that made everything else bearable, the part that reminded him why kindness mattered. And Margaret? She smiled her secret smile, knowing that she'd finally found what she'd been searching for all these months. Someone who saw her, really saw her. Not her money, not her empire, not her carefully constructed image. Just her. 3 months into their morning routine, Marcus noticed something strange. Margaret never seemed to run out of bookmark materials. Her supplies were always fresh, the threads always high quality, vibrant colors that didn't fade. For someone supposedly struggling, she never looked hungry, never desperate, just patient. "Margaret, where do you live?" he asked one Friday morning. She hesitated. "Not far. A small place. Quiet." Vague answers. Always vague answers. But Marcus didn't push. Everyone deserved their privacy, their dignity. What he didn't know was that every evening, a black Mercedes collected Margaret from a corner 2 blocks away, that she lived in a penthouse overlooking the harbour, that her small place had 12 rooms and a staff of 6, that the woman who sat on a wooden crate each morning slept in Egyptian cotton sheets each night. Margaret had her reasons for this double life, good reasons born from bitter experience. 40 years ago, when her husband died, the vultures descended. Family members she'd never met, friends who suddenly remembered her existence, charitable organizations with urgent causes. Everyone wanted something. Everyone saw dollar signs instead of a grieving widow. 30 years ago, when she lost her sight to degenerative disease, it got worse. People treated her like she was mentally incompetent along with being blind. They shouted at her like she was deaf, made decisions for her like she was a child. Her own nephew tried to have her declared incompetent to steal her company. So Margaret made a choice. She would test the world. Strip away the trappings of wealth and see who remained. See who helped a poor blind woman with nothing to offer in return. For 18 months, she'd sat on that corner. Hundreds of people passed daily. Most ignored her. Some dropped coins without stopping. A few were cruel, deliberately knocking over her bookmarks or making comments about beggars ruining the neighborhood. Then Marcus appeared. Marcus with his gentle voice and his patient hands. Marcus who never asked for anything. Marcus who just kept showing up. "I brought Emma by to meet you," Marcus said one Saturday morning, breaking his weekday pattern. Margaret heard the small footsteps. Shy, hesitant. "Hello, Emma," Margaret said warmly. "Your father talks about you constantly. He says you're an artist." "I used to draw," came a tiny voice. "Before Mummy died." "May I tell you something, sweetheart? Art doesn't leave us. It just waits. Sometimes grief sits on top of our gifts for a while. But underneath, they're still there. Still yours." Emma moved closer. Margaret could feel the child's curiosity like warmth in the air. "Why can't you see?" Emma asked with the blunt honesty of children. "Emma!" Marcus started, mortified. "It's all right," Margaret laughed. "My eyes stopped working a long time ago, darling. But I learned to see in different ways. I see people's kindness. I see their hearts. And I can tell you have a beautiful heart." Small fingers touched Margaret's hand. Tentative. Then Emma's arms wrapped around her in an impulsive hug. Margaret felt tears prick her useless eyes. When was the last time someone hugged her like this? Without agenda. Without wanting something. "Can we come see you every Saturday?" Emma asked. "I would love that more than you know." And so their routine expanded. Weekday mornings remained Marcus's domain, brief encounters in the rush of commuter traffic, but Saturdays became special. Marcus and Emma would arrive mid-morning. They'd sit with Margaret for hours. Emma would describe her week in elaborate detail. Marcus would bring lunch from different restaurants, describing each dish to Margaret with the care of a food critic. Margaret found herself living for these visits. She began to understand what she'd been missing. Not money, not power, not even sight. Connection. Real, uncomplicated human connection. "Tell me about your work," Margaret said to Marcus one Saturday. "It's just engineering. Pretty boring stuff." "Nothing is boring if you love it. What drew you to it?" Marcus considered. "I like solving problems, taking something broken and making it work again, finding elegant solutions to complex issues." "That's what you do for people too," Margaret observed. "You fixed something broken in me, made me remember what kindness looks like." "You're not broken, Margaret. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met." If only he knew. If only he understood that this frail woman before him had rebuilt a failing manufacturing company into an empire. That she'd endured hostile takeovers, market crashes, and personal tragedies that would have destroyed most people. That she'd survived precisely because she was unbreakable. But Margaret kept her secrets. Not from dishonesty, from fear. Fear that everything would change the moment Marcus knew. That he'd start treating her differently. That the natural ease between them would become strained, artificial, transactional. November turned to December. The weather grew brutal. Marcus showed up every single morning, even when snow made the sidewalks treacherous. "You should stay home on days like this," Margaret scolded gently. It's dangerous. And let you sit here alone? Not happening. Marcus Chen, you are impossibly stubborn. My wife used to say the same thing. A pause, then softer. I think you would have liked each other. Margaret reached for his hand, found it, squeezed. I think I would have liked her very much. She raised a wonderful daughter, and she married a good man. That says everything. They sat in comfortable silence, snow falling around them like a benediction. Emma started bringing her artwork to show Margaret. She'd describe each drawing in painstaking detail. Margaret would ask questions that somehow always struck at the heart of what the child was trying to express. This one is Mommy, Emma said one Saturday, her voice wobbling. I drew her from memory. Tell me about her smile, Margaret requested gently. It was big, really big, and it made her eyes get crinkly in the corners. And when she smiled like that, everything felt safe. That's a beautiful way to remember her, sweetheart. You know what? Every time you draw something that makes you feel safe, you're keeping that smile alive. Art is memory. It's love made visible. Marcus watched his daughter open up to this woman in ways she hadn't with anyone else. Not the school counselor, not his own mother, not her friends. There was something about Margaret, something wise and patient and completely trustworthy. She's good for Emma, Marcus told his mother on the phone that night. This blind woman we met, Margaret. Emma talks to her about Sarah, about feelings, things she won't tell me. Who is this woman? His mother asked suspiciously. Where does she come from? I don't really know. She sells bookmarks on Fifth Avenue. She's alone. No family that she mentions. Marcus, are you sure she's safe? You're bringing Emma around a stranger. She's not a stranger anymore, Mum. She's become a friend. Maybe the best friend I've made since Sarah died. His mother went quiet. Then, you sound different. Lighter. Like maybe you're starting to heal. Marcus looked at Emma, who was carefully colouring one of Margaret's bookmarks with markers, determined to make it even more beautiful. Yeah, he said softly. Maybe I am. What Marcus didn't see was Margaret's driver, watching from the Mercedes parked 3 blocks away. Didn't see the security details scattered throughout the area, keeping her safe. Didn't see her assistant waiting with heated blankets and hot tea for the moment Margaret finished her day. He only saw an old woman who had somehow become essential to his life, to his daughter's life, to their healing. And Margaret? She sat on her wooden crate, blind eyes turned toward a sky she couldn't see, and felt something she hadn't felt in decades. Pure, uncomplicated happiness. The crisis came on a Wednesday morning in mid-December. Marcus arrived at their usual spot at 7:15 to find Margaret's corner empty. The wooden crate sat abandoned. Her folding table lay on its side. Bookmarks scattered across the wet pavement like fallen leaves. His heart stopped. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. Excuse me. He grabbed a nearby shop owner. The woman who sits here every morning, Margaret. Have you seen her? The man shrugged. Ambulance came about an hour ago. Took her away. Looked bad. Marcus felt the world tilt. He pulled out his phone with shaking hands and called work. Family emergency. Can't come in. Then he started calling hospitals. St. Vincent, S. Mercy General, Metropolitan. One after another. No Margaret Wells admitted. No elderly blind woman matching her description. He was frantic. How could someone just disappear? How did he not know where she lived? How did he not have a phone number? How had he been so careless with someone who mattered so much? Emma sobbed when he told her that evening. We have to find her, Daddy. We have to. She needs us. Marcus held his daughter while his mind raced. Then he remembered something. Margaret once mentioned she took the number 12 bus. He'd start there tomorrow. He'd ride that bus line until he found something. Anything. But the next morning, before he could execute his desperate plan, his phone rang. Unknown number. Is this Marcus Chen? A woman's voice. Professional. Crisp. Yes. Who is this? My name is Victoria Lynn. I'm calling on behalf of Margaret Wells. She asked me to contact you. She's at St. Catherine's Private Medical Centre. Private medical centre? Those places cost thousands per day. How could Margaret possibly afford that? Is she okay? What happened? She collapsed yesterday morning. Exhaustion and complications from diabetes. She's stable now, but she's been asking for you. Would you be able to visit? Give me the address. I'll be there in 20 minutes. St. Catherine's wasn't a hospital. It was a palace disguised as a medical facility. Marble floors, original artwork, staff in designer uniforms. Marcus felt completely out of place in his work clothes and scuffed shoes. I'm here to see Margaret Wells, he told the front desk. The woman's entire demeanour changed, from polite to reverent. Of course, Mr. Chen. Miss Wells is in the presidential suite, top floor. I'll have someone escort you immediately. Presidential suite? What was happening? The elevator opened onto a private floor. One suite, that's it. Just one. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Fresh flowers everywhere. Equipment that looked like it belonged in a science fiction movie. And there, in a bed that probably cost more than his car, lay Margaret. Small, frail, but alive. Marcus, she said, hearing his footsteps. You found me. Margaret, what is this place? How can you afford this? I don't understand. She patted the bed beside her. Sit down. I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you months ago. So she did. She told him everything about Wells Manufacturing, about her net worth, about the 40 years of loneliness and suspicion, about the test she'd been conducting on that street corner. You're telling me you're a billionaire? Marcus said slowly, his brain refusing to process. You've been sitting on a wooden crate in the freezing cold when you could be anywhere? Doing anything? I was looking for something money couldn't buy, Margaret said simply. I was looking for genuine kindness. For someone who would help me without wanting something in return. For 18 months, I searched. Then you stopped. You and your beautiful daughter. You saw me. Not my money. Not my power. Just me. Just Margaret. Marcus stood up, pacing. His emotions were a tangled mess. Confusion, betrayal, anger, understanding. It all crashed together. You lied to me. For months you lied. I omitted. There's a difference. Is there? I thought we were friends, Margaret. Friends don't deceive each other. Would you have treated me the same if you'd known? She asked quietly. Would Emma have hugged me so freely? Would you have shared your grief so honestly? Or would you have seen dollar signs, opportunity, advantage? Marcus stopped pacing, stood very still, because he knew, with painful honesty, that she was right. Everything would have been different, more careful, more calculated, less real. I'm sorry, Margaret continued, tears sliding down her weathered cheeks. I'm so sorry for the deception. But Marcus, what we built together, those mornings, those Saturdays, that was the most genuine friendship I've had in 40 years. Please don't let the money destroy that. Please. He sat back down, took her hand. This woman who'd listened to his pain, who'd helped his daughter heal, who'd become family without him realizing it. I'm not going anywhere, he said finally. I'm angry. I'm confused. But I'm not leaving. You're stuck with us, billionaire or not. Margaret laughed through her tears. Thank God, Because I have a proposition for you. Over the next hour, she explained, she wanted to fund Emma's education, full scholarship, any school, any program. She wanted to establish an engineering grant in Sarah's name at Marcus's company. She wanted to create opportunities, not handouts, for people who demonstrated genuine character. I don't want your money, Marcus said firmly. I know you don't. That's exactly why I'm offering it. Marcus, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Let me invest it in people who deserve it. People like you, like Emma. I need to think about this. Of course. Take all the time you need. Emma's visit that Saturday was tearful and joyful. She didn't care about the money. She just wanted Margaret back. Are you still going to sell bookmarks? Emma asked seriously. Would you be disappointed if I didn't? Emma considered. A little. I liked our corner. It felt special. Margaret squeezed the child's hand. Then I'll keep our corner. Maybe not every day, but Saturdays. Our Saturdays. Those are sacred. 3 weeks later, Marcus accepted Margaret's help. Not all of it, but enough. Emma's education fund, the grant in Sarah's name, and a new position for Marcus as head of community development at Wells Manufacturing, creating programs that connected wealth with genuine need. Margaret returned to her corner every Saturday morning, rain or shine. But now Marcus and Emma joined her. They'd sell bookmarks together, talk to passers-by, share coffee, build the kind of community Margaret had been searching for all along. Word spread. Other people started stopping, listening to their stories, contributing their own. That corner became something magical, a place where wealth and poverty, sight and blindness, grief and healing all converged into something beautiful. One Saturday, a young mother with 2 kids stopped, clearly struggling, clearly scared. How much for the bookmarks? She asked hesitantly. Emma looked at her father. Marcus looked at Margaret. Margaret smiled that secret smile. Free, Emma said. But would you like to sit with us for a while? We have extra coffee. The woman's face crumpled with relief. I would love that. Thank you. Thank you so much. And Marcus understood. Finally understood completely. This was Margaret's gift, not the money, not the empire, but this. Creating spaces where people could be seen, where kindness was currency, where human connection mattered more than bank accounts. Margaret lived 7 more years. 7 years of Saturdays. 7 years of watching Emma grow into a remarkable young woman. 7 years of friendship that transformed everyone it touched. When she passed peacefully in her sleep at 83, her will stunned the business world. She left her entire fortune to a foundation managed by Marcus. Its mission was simple: find people helping others with no expectation of return. Support them. Celebrate them. Prove that goodness still existed in the world. Emma spoke at Margaret's funeral. She was 15 now, confident, artistic, whole. Margaret taught me that blindness and sight have nothing to do with eyes, Emma said to the packed cathedral. She taught me that wealth isn't measured in dollars. She taught me that one small act of kindness can change everything. My father stopped to help a poor blind woman on a street corner, and that woman gave us back our lives. She saw us when we couldn't see ourselves. That's the greatest gift anyone can give. Marcus stood in the back, tears streaming down his face, remembering that first rainy morning, remembering Margaret's patient smile, remembering how one choice to stop, to see, to help had transformed everything. The street corner still has a small plaque now. It reads, Margaret's Corner, where kindness lives. And every Saturday morning, rain or shine, Marcus and Emma still show up. They bring bookmarks, they bring coffee, they bring Margaret's legacy. They bring the reminder that sometimes the poorest looking people carry the richest hearts. That genuine connection transcends circumstance, that helping someone without expectation of return is never wasted. Because in the end, Margaret didn't need Marcus's help to survive. She needed it to live, to remember what humanity looked like when it was real. And Marcus, he didn't just help a poor blind woman. He found purpose. He found healing. He found proof that even in grief, even in darkness, even in the coldest mornings, warmth still exists. You just have to be willing to stop and see it. Sometimes the greatest treasures wear disguises. The most valuable lessons come from unexpected teachers, and the smallest acts of kindness ripple outward in ways we cannot imagine. Margaret and Marcus remind us that character reveals itself not in grand gestures, but in quiet consistency, in showing up, in seeing people, in choosing compassion when nothing requires it. So look around today. Who needs to be seen? Who needs kindness without strings attached? Be that person. Stop on that corner. Offer that umbrella. Share that coffee. Because you never know when a simple morning greeting might transform two lives forever. Choose kindness. Choose a connection. Choose to see.